Hello everyone, myself Rahul Goda. Today we are going to know some topic about day-ahead electricity price forecasting using artificial intelligence based on algorithms. Introduction to control statements. Control statements are crucial in programming for decision making and looping. In Unix shell scripting, they help automate tasks efficiently. This presentation will cover the if, while, for, and case statements. Overview of if statement. The if statement evaluates a condition and executes code based on the result. It allows for branching in scripts, providing flexibility in logic. Syntax typically involves the if keyword followed by a condition in brackets. Basic syntax of if statement. The basic syntax if is if condition, then commands fi. The then keyword indicates the start of the commands to execute. Fi marks the end of the if statement, closing the block. Using else in if statements, the else clause provides an alternative path when the condition is false. It is structured as else commands followed by fi. This allows for two possible outcomes based on the conditions. Using else if for multiple conditions, the if keyword allows checking multiple conditions in a single if block. This structure is useful for scenarios with more than two possible outcomes. The syntax is if condition, then commands followed by fi. Examples of if in statements. Here is a simple example to check if a file exists. If file name, then echo file exists fi. This script will print file exists if the script specified file is found. Using conditional checks like this helps manage file operations effectively. Introduction to while loop. The while loop repeatedly executes commands as long as the specified condition is true. It is particularly useful for tasks that needs to be repeated until a certain state is reached. Syntax generally follows while condition do commands done. Basic syntax of while loop. The basic structure consists of the while keyword followed by a condition. The do keyword indicates the start of the commands to execute. Done marks the end of the while loop block. Example of the while loop. Consider a loop that counts from 1 to 5. Count 1 while count L if I do echo count. This will print number 1 through 5 sequentially. Loops like this are essential for iterating through sequences. Introduction to for loop. The for loop is used to iterate over a list of items or a sequence of numbers. It simplifies repetitive tasks by automatically handling iterations. Syntax typically appears as for variable in list do commands done. Basic syntax of for loop. The structure consists of the for keyword followed by a variable and a list. The do keyword signifies the beginning of the commands to execute. Done indicates the end of for loop blocks. Example of for loop. An example of a for loop is for I in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This loop will print the number 1 through 5. For loops are particularly useful for processing lists of arrays. Nested for loops. For loops can be nested within each other to handle multi-dimensional data. The syntax remains the same, but each loop has its own variable. This is useful for tasks like generating tables or matrices. Introduction to case statement. The case statement is designed for handling multiple conditions based on a single variable. It simplifies complex conditional logic by categorizing cases. Syntax typical follows case variable in pattern 1 commands, pattern 2 commands escape. Basic syntax of case statement. The case statement begins with the case followed by the variable. Each pattern is followed by a closing parenthesis and the commands to execute marks the end of the case statements. Example of the case statement. An example would be case example. This will output a message based on the value of VAR. Case statements are particularly effective for handling user inputs. Combining control statements. Control statements can be combined for more complex logic. For instance, a for loop can contain if statement for conditional execution. This approach enhances the functionality and versatility of the scripts. Best practices in using control statements: proper indication and clear structure improve readability and the maintenance. Commenting on complex logic helps others understand the code. Testing scripts thoroughly ensures all branches and loops functions correctly. Common errors to avoid: forgetting to close structures with inverted commas, fi, done, or esac can cause syntax errors. Misplacing conditions or using incorrect operators that can lead to unexpected behavior. Always validate inputs when using control statements to prevent runtime errors. Conclusion and further reading. Understanding control statement is fundamental in Unix. You, thank you.